Hi, this is Freddie Spencer reporting after the last round of the 2017 MotoGP World Championships in Valencia, Spain. Now, we've been waiting all year for this last round. It seems like just yesterday we were in Qatar, beginning the season with all the hopes and dreams that the riders have and the unknown. And going into that first race in Qatar, what was something we knew for sure was the pace, not only the one lap speed, but it seemed like just even the race pace that Maverick Vinales was able to run. In each and every test after the end of last season, leading into the preseason of this year. And so, now as we go into the last race of the year, he's not even in contention for the World Championship. He was knocked out with his result of last race, and it's just now down to the final two competitors, as we know, Marquez and Andre Dovizioso on the Factory Ducati. And as we talked about all year, it was the Ducati rider that we didn't really expect it to be. We thought maybe Jorge Lorenzo would come into the Factory Ducati team and take over the mantle that was really the hole left by Casey Stoner and the speed that he was able to get out of the Works Ducati. And even Valentino Rossi couldn't do anything about that when he took over the mantle in 2011 and 12, and he struggled, and so it's going to be interesting to see if Jorge Lorenzo could take that over. But it wasn't him, it was Dovizioso. And we have documented all season the real change in him has been the confidence, the comfort that he seems to have in his general way that he's going about preparing for the weekend, and certainly in the thing that I think is really the biggest change is his performance under pressure. Now that sounds like a very simple thing, that a rider at the very elite level, and all riders you would think, would be able to perform under pressure, would be able to, when they need to, have that clarity, and that's what it is. It's clarity of thought that allows you to be able to make the right decision, manage the race, really be able to foreshadow, kind of anticipate. And it is about anticipating, not only in how the bike, what you do on the bike, to be able to make the adjustments you need to, but in your race management, to be able to anticipate what you need to do in reaction to what the other rider is doing. And that's what Dovi has done so well in two of his wins this year. As we know, he's beaten Mark last corner, last lap, and he's made the right choice. Would he be in a position this weekend at Valencia to be able to do the same thing? We don't know. Let's first talk about the Valencia circuit. It is an incredible facility for the fans. I enjoy going there because you can see from the pit road, the sweet boxes, which I get to see the races from, or even across the way where you have the grandstands. It's great for the fans. But to be able to do that, you got a pretty tight racetrack. And I've ridden on there a few times. And even on a RS250, or like a Honda Grand Prix race, when we do the classic event there in February, it's pretty tight. On a 500 that I ride around there, Honda 3-cylinder, it's, like I said, pretty tight. And I've ridden, had a school there, and so I've ridden a Panigale there. And all the different type bikes that I've ridden there, the main thing you notice is just the lack of time in between corners. You seem like you're on the side of the tire quite a bit, and you're accelerating a lot on the side of the tire. And even in the short shoot between corners, right and left, it's basically you're accelerating up and over and prepared for the next corner. Very little time, straight up and down, and the longest straightaway is not that long. So, what do you think as far as it suiting the power of the Ducati? Not so much. In fact, Ducati hasn't had a whole lot of success there, and I think that's part of the reason why. We know they struggle with being able to make a direction change under acceleration, right? That track is set up that way, as I was just describing. A lot of time on the edge of the tire. But again, it makes for great racing. It makes for close racing, which is something that is certainly makes it more exciting because of the unknown that can happen going into the last race for the championship, as we saw in 2006 with Valentino Rossi going in there. He had an 8-point lead over Nicky Hayden, and he crashed in turn 2. Totally unexpected. I did talk about that before, that if you remember, that was around the time he was having some of the tax issues and things. So who knows if that was certainly something in the back of his mind. It doesn't take a whole lot, because we're all human, no matter how great of a rider that Valentino may be. He certainly can make a mistake. Was that going to happen this weekend with Marc Marquez having a 21-point lead? Was he going to feel the pressure and make a mistake? The very first practice on Friday, I turned on the broadcast on MotoGP, in fact, and there was a shot of Marc from handheld camera in his garage, and it was the way he was sitting. He turned to grab his helmet, and there was a certain calmness, and when he turned, and I could see it in his eyes, and it was one of those things where I just kind of felt this is going to be a really good weekend for him. There was a calmness that he felt. I think a comfort level that he felt. I understand that. I've felt that before. I have not felt it before too, but I've certainly felt it before. And that is something that a rider that believes in being right in the right moment, and it's his time, and he knows exactly what he's going to do, and he's prepared. And that's with any athlete, but certainly from a rider's standpoint, that's what you see, and I recognize that in Marc. The same thing I didn't really feel so much with Dovey when they showed him during the broadcast. You could see he certainly was fine, but there was a certain way he moved. I think just unsureness. He said all the pressure was certainly on Marc, but he was feeling it too, and you could see that. And I think as much as anything, he knew this track didn't suit the Ducati very well. No matter how much he believed maybe in his own destiny, I think he probably realized that. And in fact, of course, knowing that the only chance he had to win the World Championship was he had to win the race, which would get him above 21 points, and Marc would have to finish 11th or worse. And he knew that was certainly going to be a tall order. But that was interesting. I noticed that right away on Friday. And I think you could see it in the way that Marc went about even that first session. Just very methodical. He did have a crash, as become norm. In fact, 2 crashes over the weekend. 27 he has had this year. So there's certainly that part that is worked in his favor. Going into qualifying, Marc showed what he could do. Like I said, he had that crash in qualifying, but he got pole position. It looked pretty easy for him, not only in race pace, but certainly in the one-lap pace. And he had the benefit of the Honda working better around that track. And so he had that confidence going into qualifying. Johan Zarco, what can you say about what he's done this season? And he certainly started off strong. He's struggled a bit in the beginning, or in the middle part of the race, or the season, but got his second at Le Mans early in the season. And then you could see what he was able to do here at the end on the 2016 M1. The Yamaha guys, we know the struggles that they've had, certainly in mixed conditions with the 2017 bike. They've tried even a 2018 chassis. But Valentino even said in the press, he said if he was Zarco for next season, for 2018, he would refuse the 2017 bike. So we'll see what happens there. I think he probably, he certainly will try it, and we'll see what he thinks about it. Andre Iannone on the Suzuki. He was 3rd quickest time, and he's a guy who is able to put in a quick lap, but is so erratic and so inconsistent that's got to just be so difficult for Suzuki to deal with week in and week out. Alex Rins, on the other hand, who struggled at the beginning of the year, certainly has come on strong, after injuries he's had. You got to be impressed with him and his potential, and he ran a very good race. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But qualifying for Dovey was pretty good in Jorge. There was always that possibility of Jorge, maybe if Dovey couldn't be up front to win the race, would this be Jorge's finally chance to win a race? And what a record he's had, though, in MotoGP, that every year since he joined MotoGP, he's won a race. And even going back, I believe, in his Grand Prix career to 2005, 12 seasons, he's won at least one race in the championship. This would be the first year that he didn't, if he didn't win at Valencia this past weekend. So there was some pressure, obviously, on him to come through and get his first win. But I believe that certainly his first priority would be is to try to help Dovi and Ducati win the championship. Race day, there was no issues of weather in the beautiful Valencia sunshine. Incredible crowd, I believe, it had 110,000 people. So there was certainly a lot of anticipation being in Spain, and with Marquez win his 6th World Championship. And we knew it was going to be exciting. The race started, and it was Johann Zarco, great start, got out front and was leading the race, and Mark was right there behind him and just stayed there. And Danny Pedrosa, what a great wingman, was right there with Mark. And so those three were going along, and then it was Jorge and Dovizioso. Not much excitement, but there was a little bit of uncertainty, and I'm sure you wonder too, is Jorge was getting a message on his board, on his dashboard, basically, to, I believe it was they call it change to mapping number 8, which is code for letting Dovizioso Dovi by. And he didn't do it. And after the race, and there was a lot of talk about it, but I could see it in there, that it looked like that Jorge was quicker. And what he was trying to do was basically keep Dovi up there and bring him along. And so he didn't let him by, which he didn't need to. And then Mark, with about 10 laps to go, a little bit less than that, actually got by Johan. And it looked like that maybe he was going to try to win the race when he realized that Dovi was dropping back, or he could get in front of him, because that's all he was concerned about. But what a massive save. I'm sure you saw that Mark did in turn 1. He tucked the front. He does that over and over again. And it is amazing. It's just, he saves it on his knee, and it's such a high-speed corner, turn 1 is. And the higher the speed the tuck is, really the more difficult it is to save, because of the energy and the load and just the speed and everything. And it's certainly more difficult. I know I could save a lot of front-end tucks, not only on my knee, but because I ran a lot of steering dampener stiffness, and that helped me when I was riding the 3-cylinder, because I was always tucking the front end on in. But Mark was able to do it. He ran wide, ran off the track. That allowed Danny and Johan, or Johan and Danny, to get by, and then Mark was still in 3rd place, or 5th place, excuse me. And it was just, I think, with that lap, Dovi crashed, and then Jorge Lorenzo crashed. So both the Ducatis were out within 1 lap, and pretty much everything was settled then. Mark was going to be world champion. He was going to come home in 3rd. And now the excitement was going to be with Johan win the race, win his first race of the season, or with Danny in the season strong for him and for the Honda team. And on the last lap, Danny was able to get by Johan and win the race. Great performance for him. It was great to see Danny, such a nice guy, and come through and win the race. And Mark was able to win his 6th World Championship. Obviously, the Yamaha team, as I said, there was certainly that disappointment there with them, and they've got to get prepared for next season. I will be doing a actual end of the year review, where I'm going to go through with each rider and talk about that, and a little insight into the riders and what I believe, where they're at, and maybe where they're going with that. And one of them certainly, obviously, is Valentino, and where he's at. He's crashing a little bit more, and is his time coming to an end? I know for all MotoGP fans don't want to see that. It's incredible for the sport, and it's just great to watch him ride, and it's certainly been a real treat over these 20 years. But I know that he wants to be able to have a chance to win, and certainly as he showed, like at the last races, he can be right there on any given Sunday. And we'll have to see what Yamaha is able to do with their bike for 2018. to kind of get back up to the place consistently week in and week out of the Honda and the Ducati. But again, what a great year for Dovid. He certainly showed that he has made that next step up in his performance. And Mark has shown what a great rider he is with his 6th championship and what he's able to do each and every week to overcome some of the problems that he has and with the bike or save a crash and bring excitement to Grand Prix racing. It's been a great year.